Okay, so I built this demo account with a top view down, top view down, top down view of the euro dollar compared to six currencies. So you kind of really psychologically you have to forget about the normal pairings of USD to the euro because you're standing at the euro desk looking out into the other currencies. Now, if you're going to trade, you can trade any one of these, but at the same time, if you can see who's winning, who is beating the hell out of the euro the most, and who is getting killed by the euro. So the most extreme out of these six. And so I'm using this. I always want to try to build some type of trading system on top of the smooth candles. And the smooth candles to me are kind of interesting because I'm using a one period moving average on top to give me the pulse of the market, but I do have the candles in terms of there's a bullish and bearish flow to everything that's going on. So inside of MetaTrader, I have put three versions of smooth Ashi up here. This is from this point to from here. Here to here is 100 pips. This is actually the round number. And this is a one period moving average, this yellow line. And this black line is actually the range of the day without regard to, you actually don't see the top range of the day here as it's collapsing. To do that, I would have to delete that one and load it on top, and then the layering would change. But for now, let's just imagine we don't. Oh, actually, no, that's that right? Yeah, because you can see the black here, but you can't see the black on this up move. It's just white on the trails. So the rules are pretty complicated if you think about how you'd have to, if you had to describe the system to somebody so that they could trade it. I think the obvious first critical thing is what is the latest top and what is the latest bottom. And here it's going to be, there's a doji here that just rules the whole pivot that goes back to here. This is definitely a major thread, and anybody that's long, anybody that bought here and they're like, oh my god, they're going to get out because they don't want to, just like the guy that bought here, if the market ever came back to here, he'd be like, wow, glad I missed that bullet. And that's what gives you all these ranges, is that, and here's the retest, right here is the argument for placing buy limits here regardless. There's always going to be support. Now, you put the smooth Heiken Ashis on top of here, and wow, you're supposed to go long when it's green. So you're buy. This is the problem if you're strictly trading color. You're going to sell into that. You're going to get annihilated. So the rules, this is, you always have to think about if you had a program or robot. It's no different than telling somebody what you're thinking. Unfortunately, it's multi-layered. As soon as you, for instance, I could take off the any one of these things and just go with, but on this white part here, this trailing, it's kind of a volatility trail. It's a non-directional Hakenashi that's been smoothed out one more time. So this is like your parabolic SAR, this white dashing that's coming behind. So say the white dashing is your sell limits, just saying, it's like about, okay, that's a bad color, let me start over. Okay, just trying to think through this, and of course keeping in mind that when you're all done with this, how do you get in and out of the market, then it's about this, how many pips are you going to take for profit. So if you've got a rule that you're buying every black wick that you see while you're in this phase of green, then it's always going to be limit orders, right? Trailing limits, where everybody's got their trailing protections, because they're getting kicked out, this daily chart. They're getting kicked out. They're getting slammed. They're getting slammed down here. People are crapping their pants down here. This is a head and this is a shoulder, clearly evident without any type of... You don't see this in the wicks. There's no indication of a head and shoulders. In fact, you're already missed the whole boat. Like, if you're looking for a head and shoulders that takes... When people say head and shoulders, I never know what they're talking about, because this would be a head, and now this would be a shoulder. Now we're waiting for another head, and then we're waiting for a... But these are based on wicks. So if this is the shoulder and this is the head, this is the shoulder. But not in line charts. Line charts are like head, shoulder, bam. This is why it's so discreet. This is why it's so critical. This is why dojis matter, right? Forget what color lives matter. It's dojis matter. And if you have blue, okay, you're going to put in the breakout bot. Now this is blue. What do? This is blue. If you're always running buy stops trailing on blues, and of course this white, you're long right now on the scalp. But you had to get out here, just structurally speaking. So it's okay to have this kind of like, oh man, look how bullish these people are. Pullback. This is your only pullback into green. So you could have a, every time it pulls back into green, this would be a clock trade. All these are clock trades. Any type of rally, any hope, you're selling. All hope. Same thing, people hope it's going to sell off. Like when this takes this out, people are like, oh my God, we are up. This is 200 pips now. You got to be selling this. This is an unsustainable. Of course, after, you could also have a rule that after, I saw a guy do a count. He says after 5 candles, yeah, you got a 5 candle filter. You got all this crap running though, right? This is how you make a bunch of money. You have multiple stuff running. I mean, this is how you make a bunch of money without risking, like just farm out these tasks to people. There's no way you're going to execute all these. This is why if you have a key that when you see black, you know, you pull this one button. It's typically going to be limits. All the black candles, you got buy limits and I mean a black bottom wick. As soon as you see that black, you're thinking, well, where are they going to land? Where's the spaceship going to land? They want to get this stop. All the stops that exist right here. These are all the Stapleton stops. You want those. These guys aren't doing it right. You want to buy that part. Dump it. Bam, you're gone. Next problem. And it's all rangy. So even the guy that's selling these wicks, your sell limits, you're killing. Oh, but I'm not supposed to be selling because it's green in an uptrend. No, you can't. You got to. Like, it's almost like you have to live a bipolar life. I'm just saying, like anybody in jail that's watching, like send me an email. Let's trade. You got to be bipolar. Like, look at, but now structurally speaking, and this is where I guess the art of trading comes in. What do they call it? It is an art, you know. I mean, I guess you can make it look like art. But look at this close at the round number, and look at this beautiful trend line on closing, not on wicks. You would never get this on wicks. Wicks looks like this. You're like, huh? What is this? Yeah, these are market makers. All this crap. Where's your buy limit sitting? You're just laughing all the way to the bank. Look at this ratio. If you only held till this structure pop, where you know they're going to trap and rape, right? They want to grab a wick and they want to rape it. That's how it is. Here, your buy limits for the scalp. I don't know how much this. I can't see underneath the. I think the blue's painting on top of the wick there, because I don't see. Well, see the white here. This is the envelope of. So it's not only Akanashi. I guess if you care, you're gonna pop up at least one layer. If I strip out the, let me just strip out the direction here. Then I'm getting lost. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to mislead anybody. Of course, that's why I'm not charging. It's like I just don't want to be responsible. If anybody's losing money with my outrageous trading technique, keep going. Just don't put so much money in your account. Yeah, so let me go see what I got. I'm gonna strip off these Hakanashis, try to rebuild it here from scratch. Of course, if the problem is if you take out any one of these, this is a custom built template. You take out any one of these guys, you're gonna upset the apple cart, and now you're gonna be like, okay, so where's the thing again? See, the first thing that posts here is the first underneath. That should be the black. The closing. I don't know what that could be the color, one of the colors, so we'll take that off. Oh, see, now it's just yeah, no color. So this is the naked underbelly of the thing, and the white should be a non-directional Akanashi. Okay. So I don't know. Let me delete them all because I'm not sure. Yeah, white is definitely W for white. So this is just the, okay, see, it is covering up that wick. That's the problem. Okay, so if you just have the, now this is just totally strip bare. So if you wanted to put, and I built, oh man, I must have got a little carried away, but you know, come on, who can't resist play with all these colors? I guess if you got the time. So let me go to these Hakanashis I built in here. Quite a few actually. Now this is ultra smooth, and of course these are tighters, the tighter ones. Now as soon as I put this on top, I'm going to have to get rid of one of these. So if I stack them up like this, I'll have to get rid of that moving average and add it back. And this, if I just went for literally one more increment every one, you're going to come up with a very bizarre looking. It's going to look really interesting, especially when you get these stripe candles, because what this is going to give you is like a super doji. See, that kind of tames it all down. So this is only going to give you a couple entries. So all these numbers pertain to the way the inside of the indicator looks. So I'll just repost one of these, but I guess I could post this to a library, but it's all about the template, the layering as you put these in. That's what's really bad. See, like Dodger blue, green, okay, and this is the method. So the method is the name of the script. If it goes 323, this is supposed to go 323 here. It's supposed to. So. And I got this from this Forex TDS.com. So I don't know. I guess I should delete that before I post it or something. I want to go to jail. And yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing, and just playing around with the colors. So if trading is an art, you know, I guess this is the coolest looking thing I've seen as far as like robot art. But what I really wanted to do was, I have a friend who makes, I don't know, makes like $500,000 programming computers, but he's on a big old mainframe, and I said to him one day, for God's sakes, can't you write a fucking robot for this entry system? Like, the thing is like, buy here, it's gonna, oh no, I don't know anything about that. Okay, so let me put the one period moving average on top of this mess. Or on the end, I guess you want to almost put a a final bar chart on top of this whole mess. Now the problem is there the color and that's going to be like the price, right? Everything else is going to be the backdrop of momentum. So I have one called just bar, and hopefully it's going to run on here because I kind of played around with it too much. I think and blew it up. Hopefully this is going to run on top and I can change the color. Okay, so this is black. Now this we got to go in and edit the color, unfortunately, because now we can't see it's a little buried in there. So I don't know what would be good color. Probably about I just got to put gray in there. So, and this is the work part, I suppose, of programming, is just putting colors in here. Always has to start with a capital. And I spelled gray wrong, I think, one day, and it definitely did not like that. So you always have to hit the shift bar, go for well, here, let me just put green in there because it's going to be a little too and luckily you can double click that and hold down the control key, and while you're holding the control key, just hit V. Oh, sorry. Yikes. Guess I was watching a movie earlier. So, yeah, it's clear. Hit this control key and hit C, and now just highlight these, and after you hit Control C, you've copied it to the clipboard inside of Windows, and now you just blow through this and hit V's. So this is a big time saver. Okay, so now that compiled up, and hopefully it's going to change color, and I'll have to delete it. Unfortunately, it will not update colors on the fly, so we need to start over. Delete the bar, which is just prices, because I'm going to put the moving average on top of the whole mess when it's done. But this is it for the geek inside you, I suppose, if you have any geek left in you. After all, the people cutting people's heads off and blowing shit up like it's some type of sport. Okay, that's not the best, but we're going to have to go with it. So anyways, I'm going to put the moving average on top now. You can delete the moving average all over again. Okay, so this is kind of terrible. That has to go on last. So the layering is the last thing on, is the last thing on. So put this on top, and then we can see kind of, hopefully, the outline of the bar there. Okay, so trend's your friend, but I'm picking moving average of 1. That's about how I feel about the trend. We're going to go white. And so if your rule system, here now we can see the extensions of the wick up in here. Now this is the green punching into the blue. So here's a more valid rule system. Of course, I'm not going to say, I'm really picky about my colors, so this is really a problem for me. But because I want to see the when this punches into the trend, and the same thing here when the green comes flying down into the green. Unfortunately, I picked green, but it's about this closing price. So we know by this just structurally here. And here's the big battle zone. Look at this. This would be where the market makers come in and just go full auction. Like they bid it. They say, you know what? I'm sorry. In other words, this move down here. So what happened there? I just saw a guy ripping this Greg Marino guy apart. These people that are just like, come buy gold. I'm like, it's 1,300. I'm sure you're getting out, right? You're up $300 on your trade. Like, you have $250 in that trade. Like, yeah, it's going to the moon. Oh gosh, I mean, what a long path it's going to be anywhere. Even getting to the moon, they blew it up a few times. So, but yeah, look at this. Look at this. Look at this carve it down, and then it goes full auction, goes unfair, then it goes back to fair, then it hesitates at fair. That's why there's a top bottom right in here, and this kind of takes a little bit of the this is a moving average in a way, but I'm only 3 steps out. I think I'm like 1 or 2 period moving average here. It's about as tight as you can Moving average is just too sloppy for me. So here, you can see here you have the green light. You're still Greenville, and here when I put the extra smoothing on, so you're really taking a lot of this whiplash out. So if you're a trend trader, you're only looking to buy on pullbacks. You have to wait for this pullback. Here is the bottom becomes a top with blue, and you've got the limit there. Perfect fill. Right? Doji, obviously, but you're still blue. Now you're still blue, but you had to believe that people were scalping this head and shoulders down here. And you're ricocheting off of that. So there you go. And everybody's going to bail here, of course. And all scalpers are going to have a party up in here. And this could go on for a while. All right, now what I'm going to do is, since I dragged you through that programming mess and I still don't like the colors, so let me change them one more time on you. I have to go do some, have to go outside and got that absolute, trying to be nice to Mother Nature out there, and it's just becoming a nightmare. So let me save this as a template and just apply it to every chart. And this is one of these problems where as soon as you save this template, you're going to have a problem with, when you apply it, you're going to have to refix the scale on every chart you're looking at here. So let me get rid of this ugly black, and I'm going to put this ultra smooth one in, and we'll try to make a trading decision here on the dailies. So we throw in zero wave, which we just built, and now it's about trying to give equal pips, and we're just going to go with the color wheel effect. We're not going to look at the we're just going to look at the what do we do now kind of situation. And you could run this on the, of course you could run this on the 1 hour charts, but then you've got to have your finger on the trigger to some degree. So this is the daily, and without having too much, now I'm going to put the pips to try to match. So if you're trying to make 1,000 pips, it's going to look like this. That's 100 pips. Okay. So daily, and did they trap these? Now this is a top-down view again, from the euro, looking down the scope with this kind of well, a filter bot, color bot filter. This is like when you're running if you have any software that runs color comparisonics, where you can see blue for the base notes and the high frequency notes are yellow, and you just get this nice spectrum, color spectrum of what audio would look like if you were to put the symbols in it white color, and white noise is white. So you could do the same thing here, and now you have to be a contrarian trader with anything, because that's where all the money's at, is in the reversal. So just because this is blue here doesn't mean you keep selling like a blind moron. You have to have a trade plan for this kind of expanding top thing, but you'd have to pick that all out. I do think it's a quick and dirty. If this was the 1 hour charts, I could totally see it using it, because if we switch this to 1 hour, it's a whole different world, and you're really just hitting a key. Stops, limits, stops, limits, 1 hour, you've been long for how many hours now? 20 hours. You've been in buy mode, right? It's going up. Is the euro going up? Now here you may want to fix the scale on everything. I mean, unfix the scale. I just launched a bad key there. Yeah, unfix the scale on all this stuff. So everything's unfixed right now because I put the new template in. So this would be like your euro radar, This is in an uptrend, but you have to realize that the pips are completely different per instrument. And the yen is just killing the euro so bad. This is the contradiction. So you need to seriously be range trading this thing. And this is choppy too. Look at this amazing, just slight blue here. You're only buy, really, if you're going to get, say you had buy stops running, and the rule is you run serious buy stops, or the whole time it's this color, you're just in buy stop mode. But here, it's a different kind of, you're expecting to make way more money here. This is not a lot of money. I mean, this is going up, but it's just kind of drifting up. This is a painful trend trade. I think it's like, when I'm thinking of this stuff coming at me, I'm thinking more in terms of, and of course with this color thing, you don't have to look down either. You're not looking down in a lower panel for your indicators. This paint bar concept, I saw this originally when I paid $2,000 for which I thought I was buying I had to buy like the final password. They tortured me for like $200 a month with TradeStation. But at least I got to talk to the so-called developers who would just, they couldn't build the back frame of the thing so it wouldn't stop crashing. But the paint bar idea, I thought, yeah, there you go. Decide what crossover you're willing to deal with, because you're going to get chopped. If you do any type of order flow entry with stops, you're going to get chopped and kicked around. Now the limit thing is going to be a completely different kind of approach psychologically, because you're like really contrarian. I mean, you're buying against the herd of, or you're, say the market's going up and you're running sell stops as the market's going up. Sell stops and sell limits on front, no market orders. So as the market goes up, like in this scenario here, you're front running with sell limits up on the top here, but you're not necessarily selling at the market unless it's on the clock, unless you get now here sell limits, obviously, right? You can see the trap here. This is where all the money's made. To sell where that is from the wicks only, close on top of wicks, and then you're getting out at fair value, which is here. Now if you wanted to hold into it because you're like, oh, we got the trend bots are coming in, so you can see what a trend bot's thinking. And this is a short term, this is a 1 hour chart. This doesn't last too long. This is an amazing, like here, buy stops are stacking up. Because if you see small blues, the volatility's already died down. You could also have, because that's what causes these small, I should have better contrast in these colors, but you could imagine building this so that, I'm a little colorblind, so for me it has to be pretty much value based, but the it's drifting up and up and up, and the colors still, these trend people, this is a very, very quick trend. It's over. Like right here, your buy stop's coming into that. If you're in buy stop mode here and you're in sell stop mode here, that's one way to build into this, I guess, really tight momentum filter. And here it's also, okay, you could say, well, you were running sell stops. We just got filled sell stops, and now you're running maybe a more of an expanded, but you're always running the buy stops on top. So as soon as this thing's done cashing out, and you always have to be aware of the fact that this is a round number, and this is a double tag on a Sunday night. This is 1 week. This is, and you can also, I don't know if it's turned on here. You can also throw on this Gann grid. I don't know if I stuck it on this one or not. But you could always put this on top, and this is 100 pips per day. Of course, that's 100 pips per day on just the diagonal. If you wanted to make it a diamond like this is going to be splitting it, so you can see 50 pips, a 50 pip thing. Okay, why are these people cutting their lawn? Jeez, I don't want to cut my lawn. I'm busy. Yeah, this, so you could put that, but that may be pushing it too much. This is like Fibonacci nonsense, but It does, you know, if you want to build the current channel like this, I guess, give yourself, of course, you're going to have to go with the market now. If you're really going to do that, you can't say, well, I'm going to, now what is the real rate of change of the market? Then you're going to key it off of close here. So you create this V off of closing. You know, a child can do this. You don't see the problem with the wick calibrations is you forget it. It's not a true picture of the. Let's see. You have to pick this. You got to get it. You got to create this on the head and shoulders. So this is not moving as steeply. That's another thing. If you're looking to make a 1,000 pips, market really has to be in that mode, in that phase of that many pips. Trying to set that to that's about as close as I can get it, I think. Okay, it's more shallow than you think. It's like this. Okay, that's about as good as I can set it up. But this is kind of like, well, you're done, you know. You can live on this off of this thing only because this this bottom becomes a top in time, right? And then this top is this bottom to this. This is what I'm looking at when I connected the dots. It's not to say there's not a pace that's shallower on this. This is the shallower pace of breakout. But if you were just in robot mode and you're like, okay, well, it's smooth Heiken Ashi, I'm just going to go long. And here's you're looking for tops become bottoms during the phase of that. Even here, you have a top becoming a bottom. You're still in that color phase mode. But look at this huge explosion. The scalpers have come in here at the round and they made their money already. They've already cashed out. They got in at the edge. Because Stapleton put his stop up here, right? Because he's short. Because we're in a downtrend. Don't forget this is the hourly chart. So this stuff, I mean, if you're like, okay, we come into Sunday night, like who wasn't getting long here? I mean, this is what's going on right now in that euro. I mean, who's not getting long on I mean, the yen? Who's not getting long on huge volatility? In other words, buy limits are here from a hand plays standpoint. But from a robotic standpoint, buy stops are stacking up on blues, always. Just in case, especially here, the exception that proves the rule. A little bit of blue, bam. And this is always the hammer. The hammers jump out really hard when you layer up these Heiken Ashis. Let me stretch this out a little bit, just this one chart, since I drifted off into this one chart. And let me fix the scale here. And I can show you that if you were actually looking at this as you're only trying to make 30 pips, it's going to look, the world looks different to you. If you're just trying to make 30 pips, this is why scalpers and trend traders can both be making money and totally disagree on where the market's going. So if you're looking at it like this 1 hour chart, I mean, this is, now you see the spread here is set to 11 pips. So you're trying to make, say, 20 pips. You got to be buying down here on limits because look at the terrible fill you're getting right now. If you're buying right here at the breakout, my God, you're underwater 11 pips. You got to make that up. So that's why your buy limits need to be here. Because when this ask line, this is what you pay, this is what you can sell it for. This is your, you got to make this up plus commissions possibly. If you have a buy limit here, and the ask only comes to here, but it looks like the bid came to here, and you're like, I didn't get filled, I'm getting ripped off. No, because you had to buy from here to here to here to here. In other words, you have to buy like, I think it should ideally look like, okay, one buy limit here, one here, stop. Buy limit, buy limit, buy limit. Forget it, right? Get blown out. You have a, say you got a hard stop here, and you're buying here. You're buying a logarithmic curve, right? You're going to buy, maybe you just buy here, but it has to be a little where it's, there's an order here, there's an order here, and then there's, say, an order here. So you don't want to necessarily buy linear Unless you've got a bunch of money and you're like, okay, well, this is only a 20 pip range and the ATR is X, right? We're crazy up here. This is all going to be Scalperville next week. After this climax, yeah, we're going to try to get up there, maybe make a shoulder, maybe this, maybe that. But anyways, here's a top bottom while you're in green. So you're looking for top bottoms while you're in green, and while you're in blue, you're looking for even any pullback. In other words, if you had bought, say, this pullback, okay, they went and stopped you out. If you bought here, you're like, it's green. You told me to buy. Oh man, they're killing me. Well, of course, you have the buy limit sitting here. Anytime you get into the market, you have to have buy limits below. This is if you think it's going up. You've got to have some thought, right? And even here, if you think it's going up, it's green. You said buy. Oh boy. Okay. You got to be realistic. There's a big fat doji here waiting to be tagged. Only twice? Wow, what a surprise. I mean, this is where all the money's at. Forget all this. I mean, you cannot just be blind trend trading. It's going down. This is where people get whipsawed. This is why people just like, what the? I can't even believe. Why did he even say go? No, absolutely not. Come on. Be realistic. This big smash down, you didn't think that was accumulation, all this garbage? This is 1 hour chart. This is 1 week of accumulation. Bam. We settle. Not to mention, in gold's at 1300. Gee, I wonder why. How about it's the end of a cycle? It's called the quarter. What month is it again? Oh, we just closed out April. Okay. All the tax numbers have been, all of the, notice gold always makes a big move on April 15th. Right around April 15th. Why is that? Books are balanced because now they can see how much money has come into the treasury. Did people file digitally online? Did people do this? Did people do that? How much did they pay? What was their thing? Blah, 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 blah. All this crap is coming into settlement. The yen is making historical, I would say historical, I don't mean like from the beginning of time. Obviously, anything that's making 18-month lows, I mean, there used to be a thing in the newspaper called the 52-week high. And I always thought it was the dumbest thing I ever thought of, and I didn't know it was trailing. I thought it was just 52 weeks. Why don't you just say a year? No, I guess it's a trailing 52-week high. It's making 52-week highs, and all these bozos are buying. I just thought your bozos buying it. Right? Oh, that's your filter? And I didn't get it. I didn't know what 52 weeks was as a kid. I'm like, you mean 365 days? Well, we don't trade every day, but yeah, 52-week high. Just so all this stuff is just so classically, it's all there, right? How do you make money from it though? This is another prime example, and I'm not cherry picking these examples. Trust me. This is 90 to 10 on this. 90 to 10. Trends for 10%, 90% chop. Trends for 10%. I rest my case. Like this guy I saw on YouTube with this 9/11 conspiracy stuff, which is just, I mean, really, is the world just a bunch of clickbait? Are we just completely stupid? And so I see this guy, and he says, yeah, 9/11. He says, let me debunk this 9/11 thing for you. So he takes this rod, he heats it up to about, 1,800 degrees, just about 300 degrees below. But he's very close to jet fuel temperatures. And then he just takes his pinky, puts it in an anvil, takes his pinky, and he bends the rod. Of course, the cold end. The hot end just bends like butter. It just falls over. This idea that metal doesn't melt. Let me tell you something. It's called a melting range, and then there's the melting temp. I don't know if you've ever cast any metal, but this is kind of like 101. I mean, a lot of this stuff is so hysterical. Like, where do people... I'm watching it for I think the Jerry Springer effect. I'm just astounded. It's like when people do these paternity tests or these, like, who made the baby test. You're like, this isn't really happening. These are all actors. These are all paid actors. It has to be. There's no way this is real. And so I'm actually watching in disbelief, I suppose. I don't know. I just can't imagine just making babies just like, oh, it's crazy. I don't know, I'm pregnant. Oh, the women that don't know they're pregnant. That's always a killer. That's like the guy. Oh, really? I'm in a winning trade, dude. You're up. Like I had a buddy that um, I showed Forex to him when it first came out, 2008 or whatever, 2010. I said, you gotta check this out. He's like, I am up so big on this trade trading a demo account, and he felt like $1 million. It was hysterical. He didn't even need to make the money. This guy was so. I mean, this guy's a true addict, like all day long, real type A nut job. And he just was like, dude, this is like, I cannot. He thought he was going to give me a hug, I think. Not that he's that way, but he's like, oh, give me a hug about it. Yeah, it is hilarious. The markets are completely too much fun. And of course, there is the holy grail effect that it's right, the romantic dream that, oh, I cracked the code. Well, of course, it's standing right in front of you. The holy grail just isn't holy. The problem is that you're going to die, right? And that is the problem with being alive, is that you're going to die. So it's like, what do you do on the way there? And of course, when old people would hear young people say, I'm bored, they just thought to themselves, but you're alive, shut the fuck up. You're like, do something. Of course, saying you're bored just means that I don't want to do any stuff I'm thinking of because somebody might judge me. I always thought that was the real reason, but you're just going to think I'm nuts if I tell you this story. And you really keep your mouth shut. If you've got any kind of grandiose ideas or any type of clues as to how it should be, you're kind of shy about divulging it because somebody's going to say, but you're nuts. And then later on, you get stubborn enough to actually stand up for your notions. There's nothing wrong with notions. I mean, how do you get through the day if you don't build some type of template and some type of philosophy? And it doesn't have to be good. I see this guy Stefan Molyneux, and he says, one thing I disagree with him, when I heard him say it like years ago, about 2 years ago, I think before watching him, he says, well, philosophy is about living a good life. I'm like, no, it's not. Philosophy can just be a bad philosophy. You can have a bad philosophy. It doesn't mean there's nothing outstanding about philosophy. There's really bad ones. It's not saying philosophy isn't like saying good music. It's just saying music. There's some real bad music out there. There's bad art out there too, right? I don't know. This would be bad art. Would somebody buy this piece if I framed it? I don't know. I'd probably not. It's not. You're kind of, the market is an unfolding piece of art. The market is displaying Mother Nature in its most dramatic form of up and down, back and forth. It's going to work out. It's not going to work out. I mean, this is what the excitement of life is, right? You wouldn't do a Broadway show if you thought it was going to fail, and that was why I hate to go off on a cultural rant, but that was why Springtime for Hitler was such a great thing, because they made fun of the fact that we're going to try to do this, but it backfires, and guess what? It's actually making money. So that's the trade for me. That is the trade. In other words, the fact that people are going, we didn't think that was going to happen. I'm like, well, I'm planning for the movie The Producers, right? So I'm already like, hey, you know what? This thing's going to clean up, but not for the reason you think it's going to clean up. Your limit order entry is making money because you're like completely against the mob. You're against the system. I guess that was the touching thing about The Producers. Mel Brooks movie, in case anybody wants to look it up. But, the whole idea that you're going to be contrarian, and that's where all the money's at. It's very disturbing psychologically. So you're being told over and over again by the Stapletons and these people are, the Greg Marinos, these people that are really, I don't want to say they're dumb, the dumb blonde of, they're the good-looking people. Maybe good-looking people aren't that bright. I'm not saying I'm genius and I guess I'm not too bad-looking. I don't show up on my videos, so I don't think I'm that hot. I guess if I was hotter, I'd be like, say, might get my room all blinged out. But, they're selling you a feeling. They're selling you this psychological hand-holding, like, oh, we're losing too. Oh my God, really? This is I'm paying these people. Like this would be like if you went to a shrink and they said to you, "Oh, you know what? By the way, can you pick me up an 8 ball? Can you pick me up some drugs on the way home? Some street drugs, because I mean, like, really, I'm out of my prescriptions." So your shrink's actually, turns out your shrink is on more drugs than you, and because that's a problem. Now, and you're paying them, right? You always feel weird. I had a shrink that fell asleep on me. She was top rated. She was actually a fill-in on a talk show, so I thought she must really have it together. She's like nodding out on me. I said, "Are you listening?" She said, "Oh yeah, I'm listening." And I wasn't going to say to her, "Could you please repeat back the last 5 minutes of my topic?" Because she probably would have said, "Absolutely not." Like, I mean, most people have already fallen asleep watching a trading video. I think so. That's a problem. But yeah, the thing is who doesn't want to make money from just their mind? And that's what's going on now. I hate to go off on a rant here, but all this manufacturing stuff is just such garbage because we've already done all the manufacturing, people. Yes, you have enough iPhones, you're done. It's called consolidation. I don't know if people are familiar with this phase of the economy, but it's called consolidation. You're going to end up in a malaise, on a doldrums of just, they're going to, instead of calling it stagflation, which would probably be the next phase, because all these markets go into phases, and you're just gonna plod along like you always do. The world's not coming to an end. Of course, I understand the clickbait industry, but it is entertaining, to say the least. Anyways, I don't know if that's helping anybody, but I'm trying to make a metaphor between the being a contrarian and making money and going with the crowd of the world's coming to an end. I prep my house. You know what? You're coming to an end. If your kids, and this whole thing about, what about my kids? Look, if your kids are so dumb that they can't get it together, this is where Darwin kicks in. And I hate to use the Darwin law. And somebody told me the Darwin stuff some of it was phony, but this is where Darwin's work and his magic is. If you're so blockheaded, but we need people like that to sign up for. We need people to go to the dealership and buy stuff overpriced. We need people to buy new cars because they want to be that guy. And that was another striking movie when I was growing up, was the movie The Jerk with Steve Martin, where he's in this restaurant and he's got this drink with an umbrella in it, and he says, "Look at it," and he shows the guy in the magazine that he is that guy now. And to me, that was the most biggest social statement I'd ever seen in my life. It hit me pretty hard. It still does to this day, apparently. And I just said, "Oh my God, here, this guy, with his humor, he's taken you right and just exposed what most people, even if they're not totally on board with that amount of, it's obviously humor is an exaggeration of reality, but that is definitely got to be the point at which people said," and this is all, the movie's 30 years old, I think, but we just built on top of that, right? So the rap artists with the bling and all this, it's just so funny to see people trying to, they don't want to bling out too hard because they want to still be themselves. But when you hear the sales of this one up or that one up based on a movie that came out, you feel like you're on a ship of fools in some regard. You feel like you're kind of scared by the all on boardness that people have about. Well, it's mob behavior that's scary, I suppose. Nobody wants a mob of people that uprise to the point where even the military cannot take care of them. So this is the reason why, and see, I think liberal people are intelligent and they're sophisticated enough to realize that is a possibility on a radar. So out of the fact that they're not these prepper people that have like 5 guns in each holster like Yosemite Sam, they are still in the camp of saying, they realize that you cannot have complete chaos because it's dangerous. It's true, and this is why they will tell you, do not stick your fingers in a light socket or whatever they call it over there. And don't lick power cables. We just had somebody recently ask a bus driver to get out and help pick up a power cable to move it out of the way. I mean, what's going on out there? Of course, it's not changed. And of course, maybe people have these suits now that they can endure shocks. So Darwin's not being able to do his magic. But that is the problem. So the same thing in the trading world. I've been doing this so long, and I just really am still trying to shed the textbook do-gooder trading scenarios of, well, you should do this. And I mean, I even was looking at patterns on the internet, trading patterns, and they're always doing this confirmation entry. I'm like, are you serious? Like confirmation entries where you get trapped into these trades because you're like, oh, I'm waiting for it to go a little bit higher. You don't think a market maker's stepping in front of that and saying, that's kind of high right now, Sonny. Like, you're still waiting for your moving averages to cross over. That's why this Heiken Ashi, I hate to jump back to the chart, but it's a smooth version, and now time frame's critical to this thing. It's always critical to every system is time frame. How long in the market, even psychologically. So you could play this back, and I can't get this thing to run strategy tester. This broker doesn't either have the history, or the strategy tester is like broken or something. But yeah, let me just blow through these, and then I'll. So if we change time frame, we want to trade the 4-hour chart, say, right? And this broker actually has a very bizarre update because they are not like the United States. I think this is out of 2 time zones away. Maybe this is set. I just launched the script. Now I'm going to crash the whole platform because the market's closed, and oh well. So we have to wait for it to not respond. And if you click on it again, it's going to go white like that. So I've been down this road. Anyways, wait for this guy to come out. Windows XP never did that, or the old one, but oh well. So here we are back to, I'm going to go 4 hours on these stuff, and here it's going to smooth out, but this is going to be more risk. Because you already see more pips showing up here on this. See more pips there. So that's 400 pips. And you can see this is still dead in the water. This is not a big mover. This Euro Swiss has really got, and it really can come unwrapped. Okay, who's not buying down here? 150 pips deep, and we could go down there easily. So I guess this is the big story. This guy's coming off the rails, so we can still keep plunging. Down, 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 down. Totally could happen. But this is, like I said, this is the top-down view. We're only looking at the euro against 6. And certainly if you're really ambitious, you're on the half-hour chart, and this is the tightest spread out of all the currencies, and this would be, if you're scalping in this Ashi system, you're basically buying these pullbacks on the clock. Boom, you're in. Boom, you're in. You got a top, bottom, you got green. Top, bottom, green, right? Can't overthink this crap. Now, this trend starts to die out and waffle, and here is, this would be like wave 4. This blue, maybe this is wave 2. So 3 is the biggest wave, then 4, then 5, then it's over. Then maybe it's ABC. You can also do it like that. Here's a 15. This is a little easier to manage. Here you keep placing buy stop, buy stop, buy stop as you come into this apex. Now if you stretch that out, you can get your brain around this trade. You might want to run 10 pip stops, 10 pip stops, and 10 pip grid. So if you put a grid on that matches your the script you wrote, and here you can see a perfect triangle. This is just so blatantly obvious that this top becomes a bottom. While you're in uptrend mode, you're still in that color. You've got enough gumption left. Now you're about to break this. Your first indication to put buy stops in are these blues. This is your only entry. You've compressed and filtered out. Now these, no blue. But if you're buying every pullback now, every hour it pulls back, you buy. So you're long 2, you're long 2. Every time it's down. Or you got trailing limits. The whole time this is green. You got trailing limits to get picked up at the bus stop. Here is the 15-minute. Over and over again. Double bottom becomes the top while blue. Buy stops running on top. So I think it's totally valuable if you're going to use this as a radar scan to filter out. Glance at the chart. What do I do? Okay. So I'm going to try to put, I don't know what I can post into this. It's some cloud site. I don't want to pay for any of this stuff. So a cloud site. Here's a perfect top becomes a bottom, while green, right? Another reason, just pull the trigger like a pig. Forget this, like, oh, well, we're waiting for it to come back here. This is a trend continuation. We're waiting to sell here. You gonna wait? You're on a 15-minute chart. You just pull back into the green. Buy. Just pile into that thing, man. Make some damn money. Top becomes the bottom, right? Doji, retest, auction. You could see clearly here. And this is way better than market profile. It's not the Sky thing for market profile. Okay, listen. All market profile is doing is saying there's a blob here of price. And they're just illustrating it here on the side, right? It's a 3D. If you turn your chart sideways, and you can trade like that. And everybody I've seen just talk about market profile, it's so retarded. I guess this is why it's free. Of course, there's some amazing movies online that are free. Just mind-blowing stuff. I mean, I guess I'm too old. The old movies are just so much better, I mean, even if you're not watching the movie, the soundtrack, you're listening to it going, oh my God, this is amazing. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. This stuff is, if you're on this 15-minute chart, you don't have a day job, you're just sitting there like going, okay, well, they're going to retest here, so I'm going to get in, Oh, actually went into this hyper zoom mode here. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Okay, how many levels can this thing zoom in? Your buy stop stacking up on these blues, but maybe you don't want them that far away. Maybe you're just pressing a button. Here's the actual wick. Now you can see the actual wick here. I just have to redo the colors. That's all. But I do like it. You have to. Now this is literally 8 layers of Ashi on here. If you do it right, and you really have to go to, and I had it somewhere and I lost it. If you go to punch into the internet, give me the Windows colors, and there's only like, I don't know, 32 or 64, and tell me those in the value mode, and there's a place that displays them in value only, so that if you go to grayscale on this, say you save this chart and then you saved it in grayscale, it would translate in a black and white version that you could print out without using any color ink. And then you could just have that with you in a book, a real paper book, because as much fun as it may be to watch a movie, it's an intangible piece of art. Sometimes art, you need to have like a piece of sculpture you can like throw at somebody, like somebody you get an attitude, right? You have to have tangible things that because you're unfortunately haven't uploaded your brain to the internet like Kurzweil, so you have the tangible things you can grab and smack and beat, and that's always a satisfying event. That's why if you have an anger problem, you might want to become a drummer or a conga player, so you can just get it out to get the energy, get that extra energy off the edge of your brain, and then you come back and actually just come back to the market every hour. On the 15, you'll see amazing entries, and look at this backlash into this, and this is once again. We just saw this on the daily euro to the pound. How often do we smack back up into a internal, just a double this thing, right? What is the trade there? And of course, if you want to put the structural stop in, you're risking this to make, and you don't have to You can see how insane that move was. Okay, that same thing happened on the 4-hour daily, right? Okay, wait forever to get out of that. This entry here, how much money did that make ratio-wise? Is that not the trade? Okay, that could have, if this is a weekly chart, you're like, oh boy. Now, in the world of this, I gotta go back and do something. Manual labor now. I gotta go beat somebody up. In the manual world, I mean, just in this kind of like, look at these wicks, man. Look at this 15-minute pounding. Bam, bam. You're constantly dropping a blanket of orders to capture this all day long. Now they could evaporate in 15 minutes, a half hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. That's all you gotta. That's the hard part. Like, I can show you. I want you to build me a car that looks like this. Used to build those when I was sitting in school, like getting bored. Like, oh, tires are here, and here's the front bumper, and like we're gonna make it really aerodynamic because back then cars are clunky like trucks. So I thought, well, we'll put a big scoop on the front. It'll start here like a damn missile. Okay, you still got to build it, right? You still got to take these things, or you hand place all the orders. You build custom cars. These are all just custom. And you go to cardtrader.com. Okay, let me go back to the reality. Plus, you can also run trend lines on close here. So, but I do love this triangle entry. This has got to be right in Asia like this. What a classic. That is so stupid. It is so dumb. And look at the baby tops become bottoms before we even exit that. And this doesn't get, and that actually, there's no kickback on here, notice. Not like you couldn't have a buy limit in here for one last kickback. And that does happen. But imagine you got those buy stops stacking up. So layer these out. I got them layered out to like 4 levels. And so go to the 15-minute. This guy is pretty active. Right? Look at a 15-minute version here. What's the trade? That was a little choppier than, very smooth on Euro because the spread's tight. So this actually shows you just how brutal this is. That's why you won't make a lot of money. You really want to trade super heavy on the Euro if you're a scalper. Because you can hardly scalp these markets. People tried to, but they see the drama. They think, oh, what a great trade. But see, they chop you. Here you finally get filled. But it's not that smooth. This is the same triangle. Exiting that Euro. We'll see how they kick it out. And this is the Euro against. Everything's the Euro against here. Same triangle. Breakout, then they just chop you to death. The market makers come in and just rape you. Bam, bam. Anybody that's long or short that, they have to wait for the second entry. So if you really want to trade big, I think 5-minute, 15-minute chart in the Euro, you're just taking, you're taking your 5, 10, 30 pips. But you got a nice smooth entry there. See if they let me tile. Now, it's not going to be a perfect tile because here we go. I guess I got it. Yeah, look at, so yeah, which one? And you're running it like this. Okay, what's the best entry out of these on the 15? Switch these all to 15. Now you're looking at this. Maybe this is your scalp desk. There's no end to it, right? Like if you're like a guitarist and you've got 20 foot switches. Oh, I like this foot switch. Yeah, I mean, sure, I guess, but the market's going to know market flow here, and even here, when you look at these smaller time frames, you never get the feeling that, oh, this thing's going to hell. No, well, you know what? Buy stops are stacking up here, and they trap. There was the sell limit here, right here. So here's the bottom became a top. Would you be able to execute on these trades, though? That's the final question. Are you able to pull the trigger on these trades? Now look how choppy this is. This is total buy stops are getting filled. If you're running buy stops here, but look at this Megadeth smash back into here, retest, smack out. Pretty amazing, huh? Maybe the half hour. This is going to be a lot less trading. Bigger waves. And of course, there's a 1 hour. Half hour is pretty decent because half hour is going to only give you a couple good setups here. These are a little more reliable because they only happen so often. If you have a sell limit here at this doji, and you're got the blue, it's okay to sell. So it's a trend trade. It's a half-hour trend. Here is the attempt to break that trend. Now here, if you go into buy mode, you're screwed, but you're stopped out. Here, you're filled on this, you make that. Here you're filled on this, you make that. Here you're getting filled. Here you're selling. If sell stop's running all the time, you're this color. Here one, you're about to get filled and go long. This one you're selling. This one, you probably are going up. But we could always come slamming back to here. Always come slamming back to here, which happens to be the round number. Look at this flirtation at the round number on the euro to the pound. Pretty amazing. Pretty compelling for throwing Fibonacci out the window. And look at this round number. They trap them, they rape them, they grab those, then they come down here. So I'm buying this as it goes down in limits. Look at this smash back into the top bottom. Those are the tops become bottoms in a half hour, and they retest that typically. They always come back to the scene of the crime. Top become bottom, top become bottom. They take it even lower. So your buy limit is really where people are like, well, if it goes any lower than that, I'm just going to get out. Damn them. It really is going down. This is market maker stuff because this lasted like how long? 15 minutes? 8.5 minutes? Now look at this trend stuff. Still in an uptrend, so buy stops are here. Sell stops, you're kind of slightly short. Here you got the buy stops because it's blue. So you know which button to hit. Then it's just about waiting for the colors to show up, I guess. Here's the buy stop entry. Here's the buy stop entry. And so you went long the euro. The euro started to kill the Australia, and then this guy played catch up. So it's order flow. Who's on first? Kick back to this. Just silly stuff. Anyways, that's my view from the top down. Euro against sixth with the six currencies with the Heiken Ashi layered background, 1 period moving average on top. But yeah, it's something to think about. Certainly, you could have a hotkey assigned to the blues and hotkey assigned to the green, and forget the limits. Just go with the flow. Just go with the flow, people. Don't fight it. The trend's your friend. Until it's not.